Thank you so much, Akshay, for joining us on a podcast at Doddle. Extremely grateful that you took out time to share your insights with our audience. You have a prolific profile, Akshay, and we have got a very interesting set of topics to take your insights on. But before we go there, it would be great if you could take us through your journey so far.
So I started as a hardcore developer in the industry, and slowly and steadily I've climbed up to the position of program manager at Eureka Forbes. So I'm managing the complete IT segment. I have a great exposure to various tech stacks and how things are working and how things actually orchestrate in between within the organization. So having this exposure and having the tech handle, definitely it gives me a good advantage to how to lead those activities.
Great. So, Akshay, the first topic that we want to take your insight on is that, as you told that, you have transitioned from hands-on technology delivery to managing large-scale digital platforms now. How has the role of a program leader evolved in today's transformation landscape?
Okay. So, almost a decade ago, the program management was all about like deadlines, budgets, scope, basically what I would say keeping chaos organized. Now it's much more of orchestrating values. So earlier I used to say I was managing the projects, but now I manage the purpose. So as a modern program leader, the task is not of managing the task at all now. We are much more like conductors of an orchestrator. Every function, every technology track is an instrument that we handle and we try to harmonize them all together with the business functions.
Yes. And it involves a lot of multi-stakeholder management as well. So would you also like to, kind of run us through a few of the challenges that you face with this evolving landscape?
See, nowadays managing stakeholders is a very, what can I say, complete cycle which is required to be handled across the projects each and every person is handling. So nowadays what is happening is the keeping stakeholders aligned is one aspect, but delivering values to the stakeholders to make keep them aligned is another aspect that we need to handle. Unless until you deliver values, because delivering the codes, the functionality, that can be done any time. But are we actually getting the real values? How do we answer what, when, and why to these stakeholders? How do they reap the benefits? How do they leverage our platforms? That is the core aspect that we need to handle. So across all the what can I say, the cross-functional stakeholders, may it be the CXOs, maybe the senior leaders, they all want one thing: what values are we trying to deliver? So that's how you need to handle them. You need to cater to all these aspects altogether.
So how often do you see a mismatch in terms of the expectation which suppose a CXO is, has from you, and then, what you delivered, may seem to be relevant, but the CXO had a different expectation.
So, see, there are times that these things happen, and this is very often. But the major aspect is what are the KPIs you want to handle? What are the KPIs you want to align? Because if the values along with the KPIs, what you want to reap benefits on is aligned for you, that's how you can align all the other stakeholders as well. May it be vendors, may it be alignment of the developers. So that is one aspect that we need to handle because basically basis on that only how the change needs to be handled. Change needs to be adapted within the organization, maybe with operations teams or maybe the business stakeholders. We need to align overall adaptive. So it's like a funnel kind of a thing that has been created around that.
And it involves a lot of people management also, because
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Without that, we will fail altogether.
what I used to hear is that कि आपका रिपोर्टिंग उनको नहीं रहेगा, बट आपको कन्विंस करना है उनको.
Kind of, you can say that. Convincing is one aspect only. But to deliver and make them feel valuable, like whatever they had actually asked, they are actually getting it. And above and beyond, if you're able to deliver more than that, it's a beauty in its own aspects.
Yes. Got it, Akshay. Akshay, when you are running multi-track initiatives that blend IT and business goals, what is that right balance between, process discipline and agility that you follow?
If I talk about process discipline and agility, they both are very important. It's like, what can I say? It's like an F1 race that you're having. Process is the core structure, but without agility, you will not have the momentum at all. So, to have a complete balance between these two is one thing that you need to manage, and you should be able to judge when to have when. So, you need to have the process structures, but agility is something that without it, you will not be able to move now.
And now a very interesting one is that, in your experience, where do you feel that the transformation programs mostly lose momentum or agility? Is it data readiness, change resistance, vendor alignment, or something else?
So for me, it would be more of towards when people are not aligned with the KPIs. Because unless until you know what you want to deliver and how you're getting judged around, that is something that is should be aligned. Because without that, the change management will also fail. The overall adoption of the whole overall project will also fail. So that is one aspect that needs to be aligned because everything revolves around that.
So it must have started with, so it would have started with, you creating a one-page charter for digital success
Mhm.
and then aligning people on their KPIs.
Absolutely.
So what are those three principles that you would include, like three or four principles that you include while you are preparing a one-page charter for digital success?
So for me, if I want to create a one-page charter, it would be first to simplify the core. Complexity is a kind of a tax that you have to pay
Yes.
for not making the hard decisions early. Then the second would be the data before the drama, because data should drive all the debates, not
Mm,
titles or opinions what a person is having.
mm,
And lastly, but not the least, adopt it before you automate. Because if tech doesn't actually transform companies, but people actually do that. So
mm.
people need to start adopting these platforms, these technologies, these changes that we're trying to do. Because if everyone aligns to these three, the rest of the playbook writes itself. There's nothing left after that.
Yes. And we see a lot of organizations going digital transformation and all the transformation projects. And
Mhm,
what, as per you, when an organization is trying to modernize their enterprise backbone, how do they
mhm.
decide between incremental transformation and a full platforming kind of a thing?
So it's much more of like renovating an old house. You need to first check if the foundation can bear another floor or not. If your core systems are modular and data rich, incremental modernization works beautifully on top of that. But if you know, like they have turned into a spaghetti bowl customizations or like quick
Mm,
fixes, it's time to rebuild those foundations altogether. So the decision basically depends upon the three things: the what is the technical debt you are having, the business urgency, and the risk appetite of this overall changes that is required. So it's kind of like it's not like a race to a cloud, but it's a journey towards the clarity
mm.
that is required out over here.
But we see a lot of these legacy organizations, is still kind of stuck in kind of transforming the things because they feel the fear that maybe their business can be impacted. So how difficult does it get from somebody, a leader like you, to kind of convince the management, manage the change management, making sure that the business goals are also aligned?
For me, the best practice always been self restraint,
Mm.
because each and every customization or any small change, it starts with just one sentence that I've listened from so many business stakeholders, like just this one small change.
Yes.
So, but you have to stay clean. You have to
Yes.
separate it out. So, ideally, for me, using of the extensibility layers like APIs and composable architecture to innovate without polluting the core is the key towards the success. So, if I may, like, you can think your digital core is like your heart. You can train it, but you don't implant gadgets onto it every time you get an idea.
Yes.
So, that clarity needs to be published very
Mm.
profoundly towards the business stakeholders, to the leaders, whenever you go ahead.
And what practices do you think that will truly enable a clean core, like which avoids customization creep while still meeting complex business needs?
So, like I just said, like digital core is your heart. So, anything and everything that you're trying to build on top of it, it should not be an implants to that. You have to use extensibility over the cores. So, like use APIs, use separate composable architecture, which sits on top of it. Rather than exploiting your core, you make modules by modules and make a bridge over it that supports it.
And that is why we see a lot of vertical SaaS platforms getting traction.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because what happens is the core system is the thing that an organization is built off. You
Mm,
cannot actually change it altogether all of a sudden.
mm.
You can only transform it the way it looks.
This is very insightful, to the point, with examples. Like, that's the quality of a great program leader. Like,
Thank you so much for that.
and actually, a lot of things have been talked about AI and all that automation thing. So how do you
Mhm.
feel, is all this AI and automation changing how teams are approaching testing, data migration, and integration?
So nowadays, AI has become the ultimate intern, fast, tireless, and surprisingly insightful. So automated testing now finds defects before human find excuses. So predictive analytics in migration can preempt bad data before it corrects the new systems. So integrations are evolving into intelligent orchestration, where AI not only connects systems, but if I say optimizes the flow-based usage patterns as well. So it's much more of like we're moving from a test after build to learn while you build. It's much more of a predictive handling rather than a reactive handling now using AI.
And what are the risks involved, like when you move from reactive to predictive?
So there are risks, there are certain hidden scenarios that you will never be able to think through. So once it goes into the actual environment, then only you'll be able to handle it. So what I can say, it helps you to give headlights to your car on a, let's say, on a freeway, so that you have that agility, you have that speed to deliver fast in a very accurate manner. But again, it has its own risks. Having speed on highway, you have to have it under control.
Yes. And in all these long transformation journey, what
Mhm.
cadence of value realization checkpoints, keep all the executive stakeholders aligned and invested?
For nowadays, I think quarterly dashboards are a thing that don't work at all. They're very too late, kind of a thing.
Yes.
So I prefer narrative checkpoints every week on week or every month, like kind of a short stories that connect tech outcomes to business wins. Like I don't want to just show the numbers; I just want to show the impacts. Like saying because we automated something like this, we saved these many hours, or we may have generated some revenue, or we have saved some costs. Maybe the customer experience improved altogether. So executives now invest in stories, not spreadsheets. So keeping the narrative alive and keeps my sponsorships alive.
Right. Executives now no longer invest in tools and sheets, they invest in narratives, stories.
Absolutely.
And Akshay, as organizations are expanding, their direct to customer segment and omni-channel
Mhm.
model, what are the operational challenges that emerge? Like first, whether it's inventory accuracy, order orchestration, or fulfillment speed.
So inventory accuracy is the first domino of the whole puzzle. Everything else falls after it. You can't orchestrate or fulfill what you can't see at all. So the irony is on grounds customer can forgive delays, but it cannot forgive surprises.
Yes.
If your site shows stocks is there, but warehouse disagrees, you've lost the customer trust at all. So yes, accuracy first, agility would be, I can say, the next, and experience always.
Experience always. So experience has to be the first, then
Absolutely.
accuracy, and then agility. And how can businesses connect commerce, order management, and supply systems seamlessly?
So, in my personal experience, by designing for flow and not for the function. Too
Hmm.
often, each department usually optimizes its own system, not realizing the friction it creates downstream. APIs, integration layers, and the technology is the answer. But the real solution is governance by journey, not by department. So, eventually, you should map the customer journey, then let systems align to it, and not the other way around.
Yes. And it again goes back to customer experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because that is our end goal eventually. Product will only sell unless if the customer experience is brilliant. That's why a customer will return to you for another product.
But what do you see inside the industry? Is it being followed, or is like first of all systems and then the flow?
Not exactly in that same manner. People organizations are still following in another manner. They are focusing function by function.
Hmm.
But if we follow this rule, the overall logistics, the overall harmony of your systems will stabilize a lot.
Yes.
The core problems, the core issues that are arising around this, that will be perfectly harmonized for you.
And I think this is the aspect where cross-functional leaders like you hold a lot of importance, because what do you say?
Kind of, you can say that. Trying to be the best.
Otherwise, everybody will keep on working in their own silos. Like,
Absolutely. Just trying to bring everyone on a common table to put and throw in their all their ideas on the table, and let's see what we can do the best out of it.
yes. And I've seen a lot of these silos are very, very resistant to
Oh,
come on.
yeah.
A lot of mudslinging happens between.
Oh, a lot of that's a very, what can I say? You have controlled that word.
Yes. And a CEO will always go to a program leader like you, telling that you handle all the mudslinging, man. Like, it's your role.
So that's part and parcel of my job. So I have to do it.
अच्छा
Occupational hazard that we need to deal with.
हम इसको बोलते थे 80% सैलरी तो इसका ही मिल रहा है.
Correct. Great, great.
Sir, what is the role of real-time data visibility, like across stores, warehouses, and delivery partners in improving profitability and customer satisfaction?
Again, I would like to reiterate on my example that I given, like having headlights on a highway. Real time visibility is kind of, you can drive faster and safer having these headlights. It reduces the inventory buffer, optimizes routes, preempt service failures. The profitability of the organization improves not because you sell more, but because you have cut down on the wastes. In omnichannel, the data is just not for visibility, it's for velocity. That's what we're trying to achieve. So real-time analytics, real-time data is a must nowadays.
But real time also increases the cost a lot. Like, so is the profitability of taking the cost that is, increased because of building a real time visibility thing?
It doesn't increase by that much, to be very honest. Having competitive system like CDN or some other system, there's so many tech stacks available and open source tech stacks.
Yes.
Why don't we leverage that?
Yes. Yes. And from your experience, what are those three digital readiness factor every consumer business should access before scaling their D2C channels?
For me, the first would be the supply chain elasticity. Can you handle spikes without breaking the systems, the supply chain? Then comes the unified data foundation. Does your channel speak the same truth or not? Because different channels at times I've seen show different data.
Yes. Yes.
So that has to be unanimous for you. And overall experience should be consistent. So can your customer switch between an app, a web, or store and feel no difference? So if these three fail, your D2C strategy becomes simple, disjointed to customer.
Yes. That is very nicely explained. Like, yes, these three things have to be kept in mind while they're scaling their D2.
Absolutely.
And when does it make sense to upgrade from legacy warehouse management systems to next generation automated analytics driven solutions?
It's much more of like when you're looking at your systems and it looks like a teenager's room, like everything exists out over there, but nothing is where it should be. So if manual intervention becomes a daily firefight, it's time. The trigger points usually like inventory inaccuracies more than 3 to 5%, picking errors are rising, human dependency becoming much more dominant. So next gen systems just don't manage your warehouses or your systems, your ecosystem as a whole. They teach them how to think because now we have introduced the concept of AI. So they help you think ahead.
Yes. And when you are talking about, upgrading your warehouse management systems, how will you decide upon a solution which will fit into your needs? Like, because there's a lot of digital clutter around warehouse management systems as well. What is your approach, like deciding on a particular platform or something?
Whether it sits completely in sync in my flow or not, first of all, because I have a very disjointed systems in my organization. I need to cater to all those systems, and but overall experience of the customer should not be hampered. So by customers, I just don't mean the end customers. Internal employees who are also working on those systems are also my customers.
Yes.
I want to improve their experience as well, so that they have more time on hand.
I think that is where, a lot of these platforms where they provide a lot of integration benefits score over
Correct.
platforms जो बोलते हैं नहीं हम integration नहीं करते हैं हम तो इतना ही कर पाएंगे because they are focusing more on scaling than actually solving the problem.
So nowadays, what I see much more in the systems are like they are providing intelligent forecasting and which is completely married together with real time sensing. So they're using machine learning to predict demand, but validated with live market signals as well. They're promising accuracy, and that's not coming from the market stocks, but actual stocks which are present in the warehouses in the system. How many quantity the stocks are getting produced in the factories, and they produce this number very well.
Yes.
Very accurately.
So what you mean to say is that both the internal, as is processes, what is happening, as well as the external market intelligence, both are taken into consideration.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And how can technology leaders design inventory, promise accuracy without overstocking or creating inefficiencies?
For me, in the new world, agility beats abundance. Like we were just saying, like intelligent forecasting and real time sensing. These two are very much important aspects related to this as well. If you're able to forecast your business needs, so if you know what are your peak periods of your business and what is the production capacity within your factories and what is your stocking capacity. So in a real time sense, using the AIML programs, you can actually forecast what is the requirement and how you can actually adjust to the market scenarios.
And what are the approaches that have proven effective in change management and on the warehouse floor, particularly when introducing an automation or new digital tools?
So, as a personal experience, I would say never start with the word of transformation.
Yes.
It scares people. Start with the words like simplification and assistive automation. Bring up operators into design workshops. Tell that like what your manuals won't do for you, but the system will actually help you out with. So the best change management actually happens when people feel like co-authors, not subjects of change.
Yes.
So that's my personal belief.
And that's a very great belief because people used to talk about change catalyst, change leaders. But what you're telling is a co-author.
Absolutely. Because they have that sense of ownership with that.
Hmm.
Okay, we are having a new system, let's own it up. We have to see like how it's going to get implemented and how it's going to become a success. So they get that sense along with that.
Yes. And if you had to choose 3 operational dashboards to monitor daily supply chain performance, what would that be?
I would say order to delivery lead time, because speed is the new loyalty for customers. Then inventory accuracy by location,
Hmm. Hmm.
because in reality, all the assumptions get beaten over this. And the last would be exception alerts dashboard, because firefighting is okay, but fire prevention is better nowadays for me. So these three cover velocity, accuracy, and resilience. The what can I say? The holy trinity of the overall health of the system that we have.
Yes. And when you're working in a multi-vendor or hybrid environment, what is your approach to ensuring integration, data, and security they stay consistent across teams?
I call it governance without suffocation.
Yes.
Set principles, not paperwork. You should have data standards, security baselines, integration design guidelines, and let teams innovate within that guardrail. The best governance feels invisible but indispensable, like oxygen. So that's how you should handle it.
Yes. And that also involves a lot of change
A lot of
management.
here and there. We have to handle a lot of things around that. People are not tend to letting people roam freely.
Yes. Yes.
Even within the guardrails. There is a set framework, so people try to adhere to that. But I have a tendency to let them move freely, because that's the area where they innovate and they come up with new ideas, new solutions.
And which governance rituals or reporting mechanisms actually improve delivery outcomes rather than just adding bureaucracy?
Anything that promotes conversation over compliance. I prefer fortnightly values and stand-ups instead of status reports, where each track leads answers to few questions like what value did we deliver, what risk are we sitting on, and what decisions we need to take now. I mean, these are few of the questions are like I usually like to be answered on.
Something which promotes conversations over
Compliance,
compliance.
because that's governance in motion, not governance in documentation. To be very honest.
Yes. These are very practical nuggets, Akshay, that you're sharing. Like,
Thank you so much for that. But that's how leaders should lead.
and how can leaders align their delivery partners to business outcome based metrics rather than pure IT milestones?
So this is very interesting for me. So for me, few of my vendors, I have actually tied their incentive to the outcomes, not outputs.
Okay.
And that's where the industry is moving towards as well. I would highly suggest to don't pay for the code which is getting delivered to you. Pay for the business capability that is getting enabled for the business, for your firm, for your organization.
Yes.
When your partner sees themselves as stakeholders in success rather than vendors, so that's where the magic happens.
Right. Measure them not by the output, but by outcomes.
Outcomes, correct.
And I think the entire
I mean,
industry is moving.
even if you compare 2, 3 vendors, each and everyone can write a code. It's not a
Yes.
big deal nowadays. Some can deliver you an output within a month. Some can deliver you within few days. Some can write a line of code like 10,000 line of codes and deliver the same output by another vendor writing the same code in 1,000 lines. So that should not be the area of comparison at all now.
Got it. And now the last question of the podcast is, if you look ahead, what are the capabilities which will define the next generation, should I say transformation leaders or some other word, but next generation transformation leaders, whether it will be technical fluency, financial acumen, or change orchestration?
For me, it would be all three, but the superpower will be strategic empathy.
And what is the
The
strategy?
ability to translate between the language of business, technology, and emotion. That is the strategic empathy that a person can have. Tomorrow's leaders is a part of what can I say, a technologist, part psychologist, and part storyteller. Because transformation isn't about changing the systems; it's about people believing in you, in your transformations.
So thank you so much, Akshay, for this insightful session. I think this is one of the podcasts where things have been answered in 2, 3 lines, but make a lot of sense than a big paragraph that are being answered. Thank you so much, Akshay, for joining us. Extremely grateful.
Anytime. Thank you so much for having me on this podcast. Thank you so much.